welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick from the city of Hampton. And today we are going to tell you the story of a neighborhood that had a crime and took action. And it's a wonderful model of what all of us can do if we get involved. My guests are Velva Goodman, and tell me the name of your neighborhood again.
Briarwood Terrace.
Briarwood Terrace, and Sergeant Nakia Peek from the police department. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's just start chronologically. You live in a quiet neighborhood,
Yes.
Not a crime problem, some older residents. How long had you lived there?
December will be 5 years.
So you're one of the newer residents,
Yes,
really.
absolutely.
And you had a violent incident. What happened?
There was a shooting at 102 Ethel where a young man lost his life.
And so it's a very tragic situation and very sad, but also kind of shattered the neighborhood because that was way out of your norm.
Absolutely. That night, you know, when you're at home, you're not expecting it, and you hear all these gunshots go off. You know, it was very frightening.
So then, how did you and your neighbors react, Velva?
Well, I was asked to. You know, to do something about it, to contact Chief Salt and see if we can get a meeting with him.
So you went straight to the top.
Absolutely. That's the way to get things done. Mm-hmm. And he referred me to then Major Gallup, and Major Gallup called me, and it went from there. And after that, we had no problems. They would call us constantly, you know, to let us know what was going on.
Now, see, I don't think people know that. I don't think people out in the community know that they can get that level of police support. So how did you get involved, Nakia? What's your relationship with this neighborhood?
Well, at the time, I worked for Assistant Chief Gallup. And when Ms. Velva called Assistant Chief Gallup, I was told to give her a call. At this particular time, I am the WIF Sector Community Sergeant, so I'm the liaison between the police department and the community. And that was the role that I had to take, was the liaison between the police department and the community. And I contacted Ms. Velva, and she gave me an earful. It was a good conversation, but she gave me an earful, and then she told me what she expected, what she didn't expect it, and I respected that. And from there, we just built the partnership, and I helped her get her community back.
So your role, just to clarify for people out there, you were not, at least at the time, responding to daily things. You didn't have, you know, you weren't on patrol. You were specifically assigned to be that liaison. So you weren't running to court. You weren't waiting for, you know,
Right.
You weren't going to be pulled away unless something huge happened. But you have dedicated that time to reach out to people.
Correct. That's my primary function.
Yeah, and I don't think people know that they can get that level of involvement from the police. Were you surprised, or were you just like, no, I expect this, you guys are going to do it?
I expected it. I truly did, because you know, they work for the city.
They do.
And
they work
we
for
are
you.
absolutely, and we are neighbors. We are taxpayers. So, you know, we got a problem. This is what we need. You know, can we get your help? Not can we. We need your help.
We need your help.
Yes.
What are you going to do?
Right.
So how long ago was this?
This was in October of last year.
Okay.
The shooting was in October.
And your neighbors, did they engage with the police directly, or were you like kind of the leader and people told you stuff?
Yes, but a lot of my other neighbors, they were calling also and with reports, because after that things were happening, little things here and there. And the one thing we needed them to understand is when you see something, say something. You know.
How hard is that? Did they?
Well, it took a while to get it through to them, because they would feel like if they saw something, somebody else had to see it. So they call, I don't have to call. And we had to make them understand, call anyway. I don't care if it's 10, 12 calls, make the calls anyway, because that's the way it was explained to me. The more calls you make, the greater the response. So it took a minute to get through to everyone, but after that we had no problems. We came together like peanut butter and jelly.
Nakia, I will see on Facebook where people will say, I heard shots, did you hear them? And nobody actually calls the police. It's like we message each other behind the safety of the closed door, but I don't know what it is. Are we nervous? Do we not want to put our neck out? Are we afraid? I mean, what is it that stops people from getting involved?
All the above. A lot of people think that once they call the police, the call is automatically traced back to them. So they're scared. They don't want to be the neighborhood snitch, and they don't want retaliation for calling the police. And a lot of older neighborhoods have that mentality, not my property, not my problem. And that's what the police department, we're trying to change that mentality to the community. You don't have to report it. You know, if you call and you say, I don't want my name, I don't want my number, I don't want anything, I don't want the officer calling me, I don't want the officer coming to my house, we respect that. It won't happen. And we can't keep that mentality, not my neighbor, well, not my property, not my problem. Because what happens is, as you continue to ignore the problem, it gets worse. And we also hand out information to the community to help them start the process. Like, we're here to help. The police department's here to help, but we can't do everything because we have so many neighborhoods that have all kinds of problems.
And because you don't live there, you're not there full time. People have to, like Velva said, you have to say, this is the community standard. This is our neighborhood standard.
Right.
And these are the laws, and you know, we're gonna support that.
Absolutely, we have rules, you know, and if you want to come in and be a part of this lovely community that you've moved into, follow the rules. If you don't know them, we'll help you, you know, but if we have to know you need help. But please don't bring us your problems. Please leave them wherever you are. And sometimes you have to stop communicating with the people that were giving you problems too. You can't keep bringing them to you where you are. You should have left them where you were, where you moved from.
I think that's really hard for, I mean, to some extent, it's hard for people to even get to know their neighbors, you know, especially if you're young, if you both work full time, if you're not around. You know, one of the things that made a difference for me was when I had kids, and kids in school, you have that PTA connection and you know a whole bunch of the neighbors. But when you're, you know, young and don't have kids, it's hard to build those connections. You said your neighborhood already had a pretty tight connection, which I think helped you in this.
Oh,
it's a sad, it's not a great connection either,
Right.
but you all knew each other because you've been dealing with some flooding issues.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's how that came about. A few years ago, back in 2014, one of my neighbors knocked on the door because she wanted to get a committee together to deal with the flooding. And, you know, through meetings over the flooding, and that's how we bonded. But like I said, when I first moved there, nobody knocked on my door and said, hi, here's a pie, you know, bottle of wine. But
No, I know. We do that in my neighborhood for the most part, or at least, you know, you see each other in the spring when you're all out working in your yard or whatever it is, and walk across the street and talk. But I remember one of my neighbors, Wendy, said there was a fire in her house and not a single neighbor came out, offered anything, did any, you know, it was like a kitchen fire and it didn't destroy the house or anything, but people don't go out.
no. Well, like I said, most of my neighbors are elderly. And, but we do see them coming and going. You know, like we said, we're working in the yard or something. It's like, hi, how are you? You know, and you do stop and chit chat. But as far as like running in each other's homes, you know, we just, I guess, it's just a sign of the times, I guess. You know, you just don't do that anymore.
But still,
And we don't have children either. A lot of people in my neighborhood do not have young children, or they have maybe grandchildren, but we don't have a lot of children in the neighborhood.
But do you feel comfortable? Well, maybe less so you if they're elderly, but like, I'm going to be out of town. I just want you to know, won't be coming and going, but keep an eye on the house.
Oh yes, we do that. We do that, and when we find out someone is ill, we call them up, or do you need anything? So that's the way it's progressed since the shooting. It's gotten really better.
So, in addition to making your neighborhood a safe place again, you've also made it a tighter, more friendly community.
Yes. Yes. Well, I would like to think so, because I do get along with my neighbors. You know, everybody, we all get along. You know, there's always communication, and yeah, we call each other up, and I check on my neighbors, and I have neighbors who go to the bread banks, and they will give my neighbors bread, and so it's a great community. I love my community and my neighbors.
Is there a way, I hate to say this, but people are busy. We all have everyday lives. We are, running to work, running around with the kids, taking care of parents. There's a lot going on. And it sometimes takes a crisis to elevate the importance level of getting with your neighbors. Is there a way to do it without that kind of crisis? Do you think people can do that?
I don't know.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is hard because some people, they're very private people, and if you come and knock on their door, they might try to be, pleasant, but at the same time, they're like, well, why are you here? Mind your business. You don't know what to expect when you knock on that door. If they're going to accept you, or they're going to, wonder, what are you doing here? You're trying to see what I have so you can break in. You don't know which way it's going to go. But I think when you stop and talk to people, just wave.
So
maybe
have that least friendly basis.
Right.
Talk to each other. Know their names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Know if their kids are getting on the bus. I mean, just kind of know what's going on and what's the routine.
Yes.
And look out for each other.
Absolutely. I know my neighbors. I know their cars. If I see a strange car, nope, it doesn't belong here. And I call, would you please come and, just check it out. Because we had a lot of looky-loos after the shooting, and they just ride through. And some of them would park because they had a little memorial with the candles and everything. And they just sit there. I'm like, no, you don't belong here. Please move on. So we would call the police department to ask them to come out and just check them out. Because we didn't know what was going to happen after that initial shooting. Were they just going to sit there and wait for somebody else to come out of the house to ambush them? It was crazy.
Right. I'm sure once a situation develops, it becomes an even more tense.
It was very tense for a while. And a couple of times people were asked to leave the neighborhood. They were just sitting there, and they had no right. They didn't really belong there,
So you guys, what really moved me was that you and several of your neighbors came to city council because you wanted the elected officials to know what your neighborhood and the police department had done. Brought a big cake. I mean, it was a really neat thing. What prompted that?
Well, we were so pleased with the results that we got. Because like I said, in other areas of the city, it can go on for months. This happened in October. January, they were moving out. And it was just something, I said, I wanted to do something as just to show my gratitude, to show our gratitude. So we took up a collection from some of the neighbors and went and ordered a cake and everything. And that's how that took off. But when I called the city to let them know about the cake, actually I called the police department, and Chief Salt says, oh, great, you can have it here. But when I called to invite Mayor Tuck, he says, no, come to city council. He says,
Tell your story.
Absolutely. So I said, okay, great. But another neighbor said, well, wait, if you take that cake, they're going to eat it.
They're going to eat it. And the people who did the work aren't going to get it.
Right.
So you ended up with...
Yes. So I went and ordered a second cake because I was determined that the police department, they're the ones that did the work. They're the ones that helped us. They're the ones we wanted to show our appreciation to. So, we wanted them to get that cake.
So, Nakia, what is your advice for other neighborhoods who are having problems with crime? How do they go about reaching out to you all and working with you guys to solve the problems?
Speak up. I mean, as my favorite friend, Koga Wilson, says, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Mm-hmm. So if you're not telling us, we don't know. And we'll dedicate resources to other neighborhoods who are having problems and who are calling us and letting us know. And they can call the non-emergency number. They don't have to be identified. They can just say, hey, I just want to let the police department know X, Y, Z. And we can follow up on it. If they want to email back, we'll send an email. We won't come ring the doorbell. If they want to talk to us on the phone, we're fine.
And that's helpful. A lot of people, I hadn't thought about that, might not want the neighbors to see the police coming to their door, but you can deal with it on the phone. You can talk to them someplace else.
Yes, we can meet in a neutral area. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to help out. But if you don't tell us, we can't do anything.
All right. Well, that's a great story. It's a
Thank
wonderful story because I think it's what we're all trying to do. And some people aren't as successful because they haven't figured out how to get everybody together and how to all stand together and stand up for the community standards and the laws that we have.
And I appreciate you for having me here because, all the news media was out there filming the aftermath of the shooting. And I thought that I contacted them. I said, well, I'm going to give them a cake, show the human side of, of all this tragedy. And,
Actually, one TV station did come.
At City Hall. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But,
So-
I felt like it was a human interest story also, behind this.
See, I think so too, because I think the media tends to, the news means something out of the ordinary. It's news because it's different, and crimes are different, and they're not the ordinary thing. But you hear them on this sort of 24/7 news cycle, and you constantly hear the bad stuff, but you don't always hear the story
That's
of how
right.
the neighbors said, no. This is not going to happen here, and we're going to work with the police, and we're not going to tolerate our neighborhood becoming an unsafe place.
Right.
And we need more stories like that. We need more people like you to stand up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
Thank you.
too, but thank you for leading this charge.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you for watching. I hope if you do have a problem in your neighborhood, don't wait until it gets intolerable, and work with your neighbors, call the police, find somebody to come in, do a neighborhood watch. There are so many community programs that the police support. They will help you. Don't be a vigilante. Don't go out there by yourself, but do work with the police because they are here for you. Thank you for watching.